Crow. Can you talk about the programs? Because I know you've got several on your website.
Yeah, so right now we have courses running to support health directors in becoming a certified First Nation health manager. So to complete that program through FNHMA, you do 5 courses and then you apply to become a certified member, meaning the board would, like any other credentialing professional association, the board would approve your application once you have successfully completed. But those courses are based on 10 core competency domains, mostly business admin focused. And then we weave in the real relevant, applicable experiences of First Nations. So taking a look at how health services delivery is done in a nation. So, I mean, recognizing BC is so far ahead of the country, really, with their tripartite and the First Nation Health Authority. But that's what we're trying to do, is prepare a workforce so that when transfer of health services, as the government would say, devolves over to First Nation control. We call it the evolution, not the devolution ourselves, but we'll have a workforce ready to take on the transfer of health services delivery. So that's the whole aim, really, of the organization, is to prepare the workforce, have quality certified folks who are managing the health services, and then that way we can make inroads, improvements, and ensure that we have quality, accessible health service delivery.
Sounds like your timing is perfect.
Well, let's hope so.
Well, there's certainly a need. I got to ask the question, though. What keeps you up at night? What are the biggest issues that you face?
Well, I mean, obviously, we worry about the large gaps from one nation to another nation. I mean, you have communities who are like BC, who have access to resources, have, a large workforce. And then you have the flip side of that. You have communities that don't have the infrastructure, have a lot of impacts still in the nation left from residential schools, intergenerational trauma, colonialism. And I worry that we're making the gap bigger in some cases. So really it's to lift up and support everybody so that we can be at par and better than, all the other counterparts in Canada. So that's what keeps me up, Dawn, is worrying that we're not closing the gap. And I really want to. I guess it's, challenge Canadians to ensure that we have those kinds of equitable services.
I'm just wondering, how can we all do better?
Well, the beauty of the town halls, Dawn, I come back to a question that I was asked recently is, who's tuning in? And there's been an overwhelming response of people who are watching. Just before we took a break over the summer, we had 15 to 20,000 live viewers tuning in for that hour. And that's not tracking all of the radio stations and platforms on Facebooks that were broadcasting. So we knew there was a need, but it also told us that the general population was also tuning in. So non-Indigenous people were getting information that was helpful to them as well. And I think education around what the challenges are, what's being celebrated, how we can lift up nations, and what the circumstances are has been something I never saw coming out of the town halls, is just that general education and knowledge base being built in non-Indigenous Canadians about what First Nation health service delivery really is.
You started the Facebook town halls on one platform. Were you surprised to see them get picked up on other platforms?
I was shocked. I have to tell you, we thought we would have, maybe 50 folks that would tune in to get some information. And to see this grow with ihtoday.ca, then over to APTN, and then the news radio stations, it's been overwhelming to have the kind of support. I wish we didn't have to have these, to be quite frank with you, but we do need to have them. And I'm so proud to lead an organization that really stepped up to the plate when we needed to.
It seems that with the world's largest civil rights demonstration going on at the moment, that, again, your timing is perfect and all these conversations are relevant and very necessary. So I'm thrilled to see the platform getting larger. What kind of feedback are you getting? What kind of questions do you get?
A lot of folks are giving very positive feedback. So we do have an inbox that we check, as you've seen, Don, on the town halls. There's a lot of gratitude, a lot of thankfulness. People primarily want to know about, at first it was accessing PPE, what was safe in terms of wearing a mask, not wearing a mask. And now the general comments are keep coming with more information. We like to hear what government is saying, but they really love the Indigenous partners that we bring to the table, hearing from a wide spectrum of organizations and kind of crossing all of those organizational barriers. And that has been so spectacular. The other piece that's been really good as well has been our other response to COVID-19, and that's by having our program called Info Point available. And that's really just a helpful desk, and I was using my air quotes on helpful, so that people could call us or email us and get the same information through a phone call or email, so that that busy health manager or health director or that nurse whose inbox is bombarded with information can actually have us do all the digging for them.
I was struck by one of your comments. You said, we'll get back to you within minutes. It wasn't days or months. It was within minutes. I thought, wow,
yes,
you're
we
busy.
strive.
Yeah,
We
no.
strive to get back in 30 minutes. That's the goal.
Good for you. I think that's amazing and really important.
Yeah, I think it's really appreciated, that's for certain.
Can you talk about the Community Wellness Hub?
Yes, Thunderbird Partnership Foundation. So you saw Mary Deliri, who does talk about all of their organizational training. They do a phenomenal job at training in the mental health aspects of wellness. They also take the mental health continuum framework and break it down into very digestible information. So they too have a whole training component available to their network as well.
And again, this is just one of the many organizations that you bring together.
Yes, Thunderbird Partnership Foundation under Carol Hopkins' leadership has been an amazing partner. We've always had in mind when we talked about COVID-19 what the realities were with mental health, with addictions, and they've been such great partners to get that other component of wellness out to the populations.
As a white immigrant settler, what's the question that I'm not asking?
Well, I really, really appreciate that you even said that. I mean, obviously, I did some reading about you, and I'm so delighted that you took interest in this story. And I think what we're asking Canada to do is to be informed about our history, about what nobody's talking about. And we think about the case that's in the media right now in Quebec. No individual needs to go into a system with that stacked against them already.
Yeah.
And we think about how Indigenous peoples in Canada were treated in terms of the smallpox blankets, tuberculosis still being an issue. And I will fight to my death to ensure that somebody entering a healthcare setting is treated with respect and dignity.
Yeah, there's too many similar stories.
Yeah.
What are the toughest conversations you have to have? And how do you navigate your way through them?
Well, I think coming into any conversation with respect and humility is always top of mind for me. Recognizing we don't know where people have walked. I don't know the moccasins that have been worn by others. And so I guess it's just first that basic human kindness is be humble, be kind, be generous with your words, and, do your best to inform and advocate for those who can't be, fighting their battles. And I think, having a very privileged seat in a number of other organizations through my volunteer work, I take the responsibility with such commitment, because to have a voice or a seat at a table, you have to make that voice count.
Well put.
Thank you. I do want to tell you, though, something I'm excited about, Don.
Okay.
I don't know if you read anything about November 4th. We are having a celebration of all health workers who are keeping our nation safe. And it's time to recognize, honor, and lift up those folks. And we're going to do that with a virtual town hall on November 4th.
I was going to ask you about that because I read about it, and it sounds like fun.
Well, I certainly hope people will enjoy. It's going to be musical guests, inspiring speakers. We are also going to have the graduates of our program recognized. Typically, we come together every year at a national conference where we share our inherent knowledge and all of the promising practices. But this year, obviously, we're not going to gather in person, but we didn't want to miss the opportunity to still celebrate. And what better time to thank a health worker than right now? Those are the people who are every day showing up, running into a fire instead of out of it. So I hope everybody joins FNHMA on November 4th to really celebrate all of the frontline health services right now.
So let's talk about all the places that people can join you. We know Facebook.
Yeah, absolutely. On Facebook, on a couple of platforms, APTN, some of the radio stations.
Like CFRO.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You took the words out of my mouth. We'll also be on ihtoday.ca and, of course, FNHMA as well. So we're driving a lot of folks to their local radio stations to check it out. And then obviously to FNHMA and to ihtoday.ca.
So again, the date is November 4th. What time?
1 p.m. Eastern to 4 p.m. Eastern.
Well, I will be there. I look forward to it.
Oh, I'm excited to hear that. We've got remarkable speakers. Obviously, National Chief Perry Bellegarde has some words. The partner organizations want to do their part in thanking health workers. We will have a whole lineup of inspirational messages, and you will see about 20 folks who will be becoming certified on November 4th as well, recognizing them. And we're also going to have an award of excellence. And this year we focused the award of excellence on managing through difficult times appropriately.
Wow. it's interesting. I'm struck by the weekly town halls because they're so compelling and so interesting. You've done a beautiful job pulling them all together. So I will just have to settle into the town halls and